Games that focus on humor can be rather tricky to review. Of all the major writing subjects, I find humor to be the one that's most subjective, as even bad writing can be purposeful to get a point across. With that in mind, I decided to take a look at Demetrios, the Big Cynical Adventure, which comes out on Steam today for $9.99. But before I begin this 5-minute review, this key was obtained from keymailer for review purposes, but won't change my opinion of the game in the end. The basics of the story are as follows. You play as Bjorn, an antique dealer who never gives you the vibe that he's good at his job. He hears a noise in his apartment one night, and while investigating, ends up getting knocked out. He wakes up to find his money and a recently obtained ancient tablet stolen. So this starts his unlikely adventure, trying to figure out what happened to him and the shenanigans he gets into along the way. Its humor is all over the place. Demetrios' writing ends up being in this weird spot of inconsistent and yet appropriate. This world is designed to be uneven, with weird characters that defy logical explanation and do things that really make you question them. It's almost slapstick in nature at times, which when done appropriately, can really set the mood well and set up bigger and better things in terms of humorous writing. But the problem is that Demetrios never took the writing in one clear direction and really capitalized on its storytelling. That's due to its spaghetti strategy approach. Literally everything in the game is telling a joke, and it feels like it's doing it to see what sticks. It does have clever references in its details at times, which is where I think the humor works the best. It's obvious that the creators are video game fans at heart, with a ton of references to other games all over the place. Here's the thing, good writing sets up bigger moments, even in comedy. In those comedies, there are serious moments and a lack of comedy to help create valleys in the plot in terms of humor. That's to make the knockout jokes, aka the peaks of the plot, seem much more effective. Here, dealing with the constant barrage of humor, it just starts to feel not cynical or even humorous, but mundane. Nothing ends up standing out, and thus, you get this meh experience. Now the game is a point-and-click adventure game, where you have to solve various puzzles to move on in the plot, typical of the genre. You do have a highlight option in terms of interactables, although the game doesn't mention that. I found it by sheer accident. The best part of the game is the collectibles element, which consists of two main things. First, you're able to get game overs via the interactables in various ways. Some of them are painfully obvious, but others not so much. This gives you incentive to try all these different combinations of things, and I admit, I did get a good laugh or two out of some of the absurd situations. Secondly, there's a hidden object portion of the game. When looking around each screen, you can find up to 3 cookies buried within the walls of the screen. These cookies provide hints to the various puzzles of the game, and it can be rather fun in trying to find that last cookie that you are missing, even if the actual cookies are really only a few pixels in length. But let's circle back. Remember how I said that this game at times is slapstick? That implies randomness. Well, that also goes for the puzzles, and those cookies you gather will be vastly important, because some of the solutions to these puzzles are downright annoying. Let's take an example. This cop wants coconut ice cream. The ice cream vendor doesn't sell it, but does sell an ice cube in a cone. I figure that there's something that I need to make it taste like coconut. So I look around and eventually figure out that it's the deodorant in my apartment. Apparently, I was supposed to remember that the deodorant was coconut flavor. I didn't. And that's where the game suffers. Point-and-click games can always have some goofy logic to justify its puzzles, and Demetrios fully embraces its random nature. However, remember how I said that the constant barrage of jokes hurts this game? Well, with everything being mundane, nothing stands out, and thus, you probably don't remember key things you need to remember. I couldn't use cookies fast enough in this game. I got tired of its shenanigans, and that's not good for a point-and-click. Demetrios, the Big Cynical Adventure, does feel different than other games in the genre, but not necessarily in a good way. It's too all over the place. Now the game does have a demo of the first chapter, so you can experience it yourself if you really feel up to it. And to be honest, it's the lower point of the game, so if you like it, you'll probably like the rest. But sadly for Demetrios, it never got into a groove for me, and frankly, I was clicking through things, waiting for the experience to finally end.